Ni hao, I'm Hamdiat Yaku. You and I know that the media is a great contributor to national development and also to global advancement. And this is because the media has the right and freedom to operate in some parts of the countries like the USA. Also, one of the basic rights of individuals or citizens is the right to express themselves freely, that freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Unfortunately, some parts of the world does not have the right to this. One of such countries is China. Today, I'll be deliberating on the media in China, and I'll be looking at social media, newspaper, television content, how they are created, distributed, and controlled in the country. Let's begin with social media and the internet. I'll be talking about social media platforms and how they are controlled by the CCP government, the firewall, the Great Firewall for censorship, and also violators and how punishment. Social media content, social media platforms, and the internet sites in China are actually really difficult to access. And also to add, social media platforms that you and I use here, like Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, name them, are being blocked in China. The Chinese populace do not use these apps. They are actually replaced by Chinese-based apps like Weibo, Baidu, WeChat, Renren, and the rest. This is because the Chinese government finds them as threats to their agenda as a government who want to stay in power for as long as they can. Moving on to the Great Firewall is the world's most greatest sophisticated censorship apparatus which has been put in place by the central government of China to filter, censor, and to restrict content to be from being posted on the internet. That means that whatever content that one posts that is contrary to the directive of the CCP or poses as a threat would be censored, would be filtered, or even be restricted. And woe betide whoever gets such information out will be punished. And that is the next thing. Yes, people are punished for posting things on the internet or on social media. Even though Article 35 of the Chinese Constitution protects the rights of people, the CCP government does not adhere to this and actually debunks it, and it goes ahead to punish people because of its directives, which they think is a threat if somebody should say something or to do something contrary to their directives. Moving on, talking about social media, we'll now talk about newspaper. Newspaper is one of the oldest media handles or media outlets in the world, and China is known for one of the first countries to start using newspaper by using the bark of trees, stone inscriptions, and stuff. Yet, the newspaper industry in China still struggles because they cannot operate independently or with freedom. I'll be talking about categories of the newspaper in China, international news sites, and censorship. News the newspaper industry in China is actually categorized into the main format, content, and the purpose. And these newspapers are actually used by political parties to propagate their agendas. There are different types of newspaper in China. We have the court gazettes, Dibao, we have internal periodicals, party papers, People's Daily, Guamen Daily, and the rest. And all these newspapers only publish on central topics. So they are only in place for particular topics and they cannot transcend to other topics. And even some newspapers are only known in some part of the country. It doesn't go really far. These newspapers actually are owned mostly by the Chinese government, so it controls whatever content that is being published on these newspapers for the consumption of the populace. Talking about international sites, you and I make good use of these sites like the BBC, the Washington Post, New York Times, the Reuters, the Guardian Post. We actually depend on them for information here at home and also in other countries. Unfortunately, should we find ourselves in China, we wouldn't have access to these news sites because once again, they are being blocked in China. China does not allow most of these news sites to run or to publish information. And even some Chinese language based newspapers that are found in diaspora China, like newspaper in United States written in China, newspapers in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and other parts of the world that are written in China are not allowed to publish in China because the CCP government finds them a threat and that they do not adhere to their directives. Just a few of such news sites are allowed to operate in China. Now, where is objectivity where is impartiality with regards to news? Talking about censorship, just like social media and internet, content are censored when it comes to newspaper. That is basically because editors are controlled by the CCP. Editors do not have the full right to publish whatever that journalists should bring in. And that's also because most of the newspaper industry is controlled by the Chinese government. One third of the news industry is owned and controlled by the Chinese government. So most content are only based on what the Chinese government wants to be published. People are even paid by the Chinese government to monitor and report published contents that are contrary to the Chinese government. And also, what we tells you have any content contrary being published, you would find yourself wanting. This is a really worrying fact, looking at the fact that the media is a really strong tool when it comes to national development. Moving on next is television. Television actually was initially started in China to promote the agendas of the CCP government before later on advertisements was introduced to create more funding for these television stations. Television actually is strictly controlled by the Chinese government because it is the widely accessed media in China. Almost every household in China owns a television set, and people spend most of their day watching. So you realize that they are more exposed to the television, and so the Chinese government has put in place ways of controlling information that goes on the television with regards to advertisements, movies, programs, talk shows. All of these programs are controlled by the Chinese government. The widely watched television in China is called a CCTV, which is the Central Chinese Television. It has 16 channels in various languages. Content on these TV stations are controlled by the central government, and also programs are only aired with regards to viewer ratings. So it's what the viewers watch more that will be posted the on these television stations. Quite apart from that, contents are openly censored. It is very known to everybody in China that contents are being opened. A movie or a program would be aired today and tomorrow is being pulled down. Now that's really, really alarming. Yes, that stuff actually happened in China. And it's really alarming. Having talked about these things, we now will be able, you and I will agree to the fact that the media in US is much more promising than that in China, because at least the media in the US have the First Amendment supporting and protecting it, and you and I have the Bills of Rights protecting us and giving us the right to access information, post information, and do whatever we do want when it comes to publishing and when it comes to expressing ourselves. Well, in China, this is not applicable. And also looking at the fact that the rights of people are being suppressed regardless of the protection laws in China, because the CCP government does not really adhere to this. China, as at now, ranks 177th when it comes to medium of the media across the globe, and this even because North Korea is known to be worse. Well, we will all have to agree with the fact that this is a really worrying situation with regards to the rank and position of China in the world's top countries when it comes to economy, technology, industrialization, and even military services. What will happen should the media around the globe come together to fight for the media of China? It would be a really threatening situation to the stability of China and also to the world at large. Thank you. Jeje.